When I started the first internet company, Zip2, with my brother and another person, Greg Curry, it wasn't really with the thought of being wealthy. I've got nothing against being wealthy, but
we'll get back to that later too.
but it's just it was just from the standpoint of wanting to be part of the internet, and I figured if we could make enough money to just get by, that would be okay. And when we started off, we literally only had like one computer, and so it would be our web server during the day, and I'd code at night. And we just got a small office in Palo Alto back when rent was not insane, and it cost us like $450 a month. It was cheaper than an apartment, so we actually just slept in the office and then showered at the YMCA on Page Mill, El Camino. So we'd walk over there and shower, and that was actually, I think that was when I first met you, by the way. So I don't know how many people, probably not many people know this, but we actually pitched Steve in like January '96 on the Zip2 business plan, and actually I thought Steve was actually one of the most up to speed on what actually was in our business plan. Most of the people we met did not actually read our business plan. In fact, a lot of venture capitalists we met at the time didn't even know what the internet was. They'd never used it.
I'm sure if we still do.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm talking like sort of well-known people on Sand Hill. It was like, wow, okay. But at the time, nobody had made any money on the internet, so I guess that's then it wasn't really clear evidence that there was a business.
Well, it wasn't so long ago that I was a student and sitting in a seat in an auditorium like you guys are here today, listening to. I remember very specifically this time when Bill Gates came to talk at Harvard, and I was just like, wow, how do you do that? But the trick is that the media likes to sensationalize this as if you have some eureka moment, or you are some singular person who can build something on your own, and that's just not how the world works. When I was in school, I built a lot of stuff that I just liked building. There was not a single moment when I had some revelation that Facebook was going to be awesome. That's not maybe how the media or movies or whatever would like to portray things. It's much less exciting. But the reality is, I think most services in the world that reach the scale that Facebook has, you start off building something that you care about, and you don't necessarily think it's going to be that big. I didn't. I built Facebook, the first version of Facebook, for my college community because I wanted to be able to connect with the people at my school. And I remember very clearly talking to my friends at the time and saying, how cool is it that we have built this community for our school? One day it's going to be awesome when somebody else builds this for the world, because something like this needs to exist for the world. But it didn't even occur to me that my friends and I might be able to play a role in doing that, right? Because we were college students, right? I mean, we didn't have any engineers to work with, or servers or resources or anything like that. And there are these huge companies that deliver products for hundreds of millions of people, right? I always assumed that it was going to be like Microsoft or Google, or someone would build this for the world. And what basically just happened is, at each step along the way, we just kind of kept doing the next thing and growing from there. And there were teams inside these other companies that thought social media was important and were working on it. But there were all these different memes and narratives in the world. People would say, oh, well, this is just a fad. People are going to use it, but then they're going to stop. So, so a lot of the teams who were working on didn't take it that seriously, or the higher-ups in those companies didn't care, so they didn't get resources, and we just kept going and going. And then people would say, all right, fine, so maybe people are using it, but it's never going to make any money, right? I mean, social media doesn't make any money. And we just kind of kept going, and then pretty soon we had a service that was bigger than any of these other ones, and that kind of is how we are here where we are. There's no magic. A lot of times I think people just get afraid because often your dream it seems like it's so far off, but if you just kind of focus on building stuff that you think is good and you keep on going at each step along the way and don't let people deter you from that, and you just really care about what you're doing and kind of don't give up at each step along the way, then I think that's how you build something good.
When I got to Dallas, I was a bartender at night, and I moved in. One of my buddies from Indiana said, "You got to come to Dallas," and I'm like, "I'm there." My car would only get so far. I had a Fiat X19 with a hole in the floorboard that guzzled oil every 60 miles, and I went down there, and there's a place called The Village. It's the world's largest apartment complex. We had 6 guys in a 3-bedroom apartment. I didn't have my own room. I didn't have my own drawer. I didn't have my closet. I had a pile, and I had one ratty towel that I stole from Motel 6. And that was it. And so I was looking for my career, got a job at a software store. And I was, didn't have a tech background, so I was teaching myself all this. Because the way I look at tech is somebody invents it, and everybody else is tied for second place in the ability to learn it. And if I work harder and faster to really dive in, even if it means reading the manual, just diving in, then I can get a head start.
How old were you during
I was 24. And so sleeping on the floor, working in a software company, learning, getting better at what I was doing. And then one day, because I was dying to get out of that rat hole that I lived in, I had a chance to go out and close a sale that would have got me a $1,500 commission. And so I went to my boss, his name is Michael Humecki, and I said, "Boss, one of my responsibilities was to sweep the floor, wipe down the windows, and open the door to open the store. I got the sale. You got to let me close the sale." He goes, "No. You got to be in there to open the store." And I'm like, "Michael, no." So I made the executive decision to go out, pick up the check, thinking if I hand this guy a $15,000 check, of course he's going to change his mind. Fired me on the spot. And so here I was, living in a shithole, excuse my French, just this ratty place with a Motel 6 towel, sorry, Motel 6, and really didn't know how I was going to get out. But I decided, okay, I'm a lousy employee. I went to one of the companies that I'd been talking to, Architectural Lighting, and I said, "Look, I need $500 to be able to buy the software you want, and I promise you that even if it doesn't work, I will wash your car, I will walk your dog, I don't care what it is, I will do whatever it takes to make it up to you." And they gave me the $500, and that allowed me to create Micro Solutions. And 6 months later, I was out of the rat hole, and my company turned into a real company, and that's the one I sold for $6 million when I was 29, 30 years old.
If Jack Ma can be succeed, 80% of the young people can be successful. We don't have money. We don't have a relationship. I don't have a powerful, rich father, even though we don't have a rich father or uncle that can sponsor us. Everything we do is the 18 founders. We believe the future, we make progress. Even among the 18 founders, we only have 3 engineers. Among the 3 engineers, only one of them had a 3 years experience at university, studied computer. The other 2, they are like amateur computer. When they open it, they don't know how to fix it. Start from there to today, we have 25,000 engineers in our company. And nobody comes to buy and sell. For the first 2 weeks, terrible. We built an e-commerce company, nobody comes to sell. So we have to list our own products on there, waited for 2 weeks, nobody comes to buy. So we have to buy ourselves. And then the first month, some people come to sell things on our site. We buy everything. So we buy a whole house of rubbish for the whole month. We started. Nobody believed e-commerce. Until today, or last year, we sold $550 billion from nothing to $550 billion. And I think compared to yesterday was big sales, but compared to 10 years later, we are nothing. So this is what I want to say. The great ideas I heard in the next room inspired me and changed my. You are guys are the hope of Africa. And I believe 15 years ago, 18 years in my apartment, I told my team, we are the hope of China. Because we are the guys without any resources. If we can make it, most people can make it. If most people like us, without the money, without resources, only with the dream and belief, if we can make succeed, China will be successful.
I went through some tough times after I left the Oprah show. I made a conscious decision that I did not want to be sitting on TV with the Oprah show and y'all saying, she should have left that show. That show was really good 2 years ago. I made a conscious decision that when I felt I had said all that I could say and the audience had heard it, that I would move on and that I would not spend my life regretting or trying to hold on to what used to be or hold on to what I had. So I dreamed this dream of starting a network. And in the beginning, it was a struggle. It was a struggle because honest to goodness, I did not know what I was doing. I was trying to figure it out. I thought that the Oprah show audience would follow us to OWN, and then I realized y'all didn't have cable. And if you had cable, you did not have the OWN package. So it took me a minute. And unlike most people who you get to have your mistakes in private, something doesn't go right in your life, you get to sulk about it in private. If I make a mistake, it's on the CNN crawl or the CNN news. So when I was in the climb and there were so many wonderful owners, I see Churl Action Jackson here. There were so many wonderful owners, people who said, oh, we're gonna stand with you. We're gonna stand by you. Thank you, Roland Martin. There were so many people who said, listen, we believe that this can happen. So I dreamed the dream along with Tyler Perry, who was my friend, who came to me and said, Tyler said, I'm gonna help you out because Tyler can go home and write a script and direct it, produce it, and shoot it, and do it for less money than anybody in Hollywood. So we started with the foundation of have and have nots. If loving you is wrong, love thy neighbor, Mama Hattie. And then I started to dream another dream about scripted television, because in the beginning I was told you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it, didn't have enough money to do it. And I dreamed the dream. I read Proverbs 11:28 that says, those who trust in their riches will fall, but the righteous will rise and thrive like a green leaf.